Welcome to the PEARRM Services YouTube channel. Please be sure to like and subscribe and stay tuned for weekly updates. Welcome to this week's topic. This week, we're focused on Wellbeing Leadership Insights. We know the best leaders are role models, and the best leaders emphasize the importance of well-being in the workplace. So we'll talk about 3 ways that these leaders can emphasize specific insights to ensure that they're role modeling well-being. 1, cultivating a positive culture. 2, cultivating strong emotional intelligence. And 3, cultivating a culture of continuous learning. Let's take a look at each of these individually. The best leaders cultivate a positive culture within the workplace. From time to time, I hear this quote that the culture within an organization is how an employee feels Sunday night about going to work Monday morning. And I think that's really powerful. I also think, following up on that theme, that the culture in the organization is what the employees are saying about the organization at their dinner table, what the organizations are saying about a close friend or family member who wants to join the organization. The culture of the organization is also determined by the leader and how that leader sets the tone for the organization as a whole. So the best leaders are well-being role models. And in doing so, they cultivate a culture where Sunday night, employees feel good about going to work Monday morning. They also cultivate a culture where employees can honestly share with their families and friends that their work environment is a good and a positive one. They also cultivate a culture where employees feel that they can be whole while being a part of this organization, meaning they can do their best work and they can also prioritize their overall well-being. Leaders should ensure that they're fostering a culture that is inclusive and that they're contributing to the well-being of the entire team. And in doing so, the employees will recognize that and be champions for the organization. The strongest cultures are inclusive. And so leaders who are taking the time to cultivate positivity in the workplace and recognize where negativity could be creeping in and doing their best to ensure that that is not promoted and that that is clearly marked as an area that is not tolerated in the workplace, that will result in a culture that is positive. It would also result in employees being well-being champions and also being overall organizational champions, where when positions become available and family or friends are interested in those, the employees can very honestly and positively say, my leader ensures that all employees are whole. They ensure that they put employee well-being over everything else. And because of that, we have a thriving department. We have a thriving organization because I have the opportunity as an employee to take time out to exercise, to take time out to cook several times per week and do meal planning. And I have the opportunity to share that with my team because my leader takes time at the start of every meeting to focus on how we are doing. The employee can also share, we work really hard as a team, but our leader is supportive. We work very hard as a team, but we understand what we're working towards because the leader is a great communicator. So a leader who is cultivating a positive culture is doing so to ensure that the organization and the team is whole as a unit, but that each individual feels seen and heard, and that overall well-being is a priority for the organization. The other way that leaders are well-being champions and the ways in which that they are driving leadership insights is through cultivating emotional intelligence. Now, there are many organizations that are fast paced, that deliver great results, and that are known as overall champions and overall role models for other organizations. However, there's not a strong emotional intelligence within the organization. Leaders who are taking the time to recognize ways in which they can be stronger emotionally will help to overall cultivate a culture where emotional intelligence is recognized, is celebrated, and is a continuous work in progress. Developing emotional intelligence is crucial for leaders, and it's also crucial for leaders to develop that for their team as a whole. It's also important that leaders navigate challenges and understand the needs of everyone who's on their teams. And to be able to do this, the leaders have to role model emotional intelligence and have to recognize when and if others are not doing the same. So, for an employee to be whole, they have to be able to do their best work. They have to be able to be stable, and they have to be able to recognize and appreciate each other's. So, those employees who are not recognizing and not appreciating the others, once a leader sees that, that should be an area of improvement that the leader should work on. If it's team dynamics where emotional intelligence is not being cultivated or not being celebrated or not a work in progress, the leader should address it at a team level and find ways, working with HR consultants or working with executive coaches or external resources, whether those be online or in person, to cultivate a more and stronger emotionally intelligent organization. However, if the instances are specific to an individual, where there is an individual on the team who lacks emotional intelligence, who lacks the ability to recognize ways in which their lack of emotional intelligence is affecting others, the leader should work with that individual and not make it a team situation if there's only one individual who's lacking those skills. So, a leader recognizing that the importance of emotional intelligence affects the entire team, but navigates the challenges based on where the opportunities exist, will ensure that they are being well-being champions and that they're continuing to be that leader with the best insights into how the overall organization works. The other way in which leaders can ensure that they are well-being champions and continuing to develop leadership insights is through cultivating a culture that is continuously learning. The ways to continuously learn, of course, include learning about a culture and how to cultivate a positive culture. Also, learning about emotional intelligence and what does that mean in an organization and how to build an organization that is emotionally strong and that there is continuous improvement when there are opportunities. So, to build a continuous learning culture, a leader should ensure that they are staying informed about what is changing around us. So, as artificial intelligence and ChatGPT and overall Gen AI is evolving, how does that affect the workplace? How does that affect employees? How are employees leveraging the different changes in Gen AI? And how are these different areas of evolution affecting the workplace as a whole? Leaders who are recognizing what's trending, what is changing, and how to lean into those will help their employees recognize that these leaders are staying ahead of the curve and are also leveraging resources to help them as employees stay ahead of the curve as well. These leaders recognizing the ways the world and the workplace is continuing to evolve and tapping into those resources from a well-being perspective will also continue to be the strongest of the leaders and the strongest role models. Encouraging employees to stay ahead of trends and to openly share where they see opportunities for the organization to continue to improve, is another way to cultivate a continuous learning culture. When employees recognize that there are trends in well-being and overall leadership, and they feel free and open to be able to share that with their leaders, that will help to, one, build leadership skills for them as employees, but two, continue to ensure that the communication within the organization is strong. Leaders recognizing that the world is changing and evolving, bringing those changes to employees and giving employees an opportunity to continue to level up their overall professional portfolio will retain employees and will have a stronger working environment. Employees recognizing that there is a strong emphasis on continuous learning will adapt and will continue to give back more to the organization, especially when it's an organization that is blending professional learning with overall well-being learning. So an employee that's continuing to learn more about sleep, diet, exercise, overall faith, and how their faith ties into their well-being, tying into relationships and community, and the importance of having a therapist or a coach and having someone to not only talk to, but also to build the skills and coping mechanisms. Those employees recognizing what they're learning from their organizations will in turn be champions for the organization and be stronger leaders themselves when the time is right. Continuous learning is important. It keeps the organization fresh. It keeps employees fresh. It keeps the leaders on their toes, and it gives the organization an edge to be able to stand up against the competition and to retain the very best talent that they are developing. So, a leader who's recognizing that there's a strong emphasis on the importance of continuous learning and recognizing that that emphasis is not only on learning as it relates to being able to do the job, but also learning as it relates to how an employee can continue to be whole, will overall cultivate a continuous learning culture. And again, the leaders who recognize that they don't know it all and they don't have all the resources, and leveraging the employee network, encouraging those employees to share as they have new and different information, will continue to develop the very best organization. The best leaders are role models. The best leaders take care of their overall well-being. The best leaders role model how to take care of well-being for their employees, and the best leaders ensure that well-being leadership insights is important to them. They do this through ensuring they're cultivating a positive culture, a culture where employees can be champions for the organization, and a culture where an employee walking into a meeting can walk in feeling good even if it's scheduled to be a difficult meeting, because they know that the leader is very focused on employees having a positive experience. The best leaders cultivate emotional intelligence. They recognize that their employees on the team need to feel safe and they need to protect their overall emotional well-being. And they leverage resources to build the emotional strength of the team or an individual if and when the need arises. The best leaders cultivate a culture where employees are always learning. They ensure that the learning of the team is not only professional, but there's also a strong emphasis on employees learning how to take care of themselves as an individual. They also ensure that they are finding a way to get feedback from employees about what's most important to them and how to incorporate that into the continuous learning journey of the organization. Thank you for listening to this week's topic, and I look forward to connecting with you again on the next leadership topic.